You're listening to Behind the Bulldogs on News Radio WBRN.
Off the left side to the end zone. Touchdown Bulldogs.
If I'm even having like a bad day on the course or something, I just look down at it and just feel like thankful that I'm able to be out there.
Making sure that we're like where our feet are and we're not thinking about outside distractions.
Welcome into our first episode. It is the summer edition, back and better than ever. Brandon, we're joining you here on News Radio WBRN and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, as well as YouTube. And I am joined not by Tatum Outlaw. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. Brody Kaiser. Brody, what's going on?
Hey, man, it's good to be back. And it's always crazy in late May, right? We start these shows and the summer's here. How? How does that happen? It's just so fast.
I don't understand. Now, we're both glad we can get the clubs out. But right. It is one thing of like, okay, I just got them out of my garage a month ago. Now we're already playing. But we had snow last week. This doesn't make sense, but we make it work.
Yeah, we've played a little bit of golf. Unfortunately, the weather hasn't super cooperated as of yet, but looks like we're maybe turning a corner. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed indeed. Anyway, on today's program, we are going into a Q&A, but this is not more of a personal Q&A. We're highlighting all of our Ferris State sports in a very specialized Q&A. You guys, the fans, had some questions. We also added some that were thrown our way across the hall. And so we're going to be diving into some things as far as, looking back at the year in memories, some of the great moments, some of the more underappreciated teams, athletes, and we're kind of just going to dive into more of a year in review, but very specialized, if you may.
Yeah, I love it. I think this is always great to do, especially for the spring sports who performed admirably. I mean, every year it feels like now our spring sports are so successful. Really, every sport at Ferris is successful, but our spring sports just continue right where the whole year leads up to that point, right? But then it kind of just feels like people are moving into summer mode. So it's good to touch on those things and go back and recap that sort of action.
Absolutely. So we got 5 questions. We'll rip through them. But first, big thanks goes out to Bezos Digital, our sponsor of the show. If you are looking for digital advertising, web design, audio streaming, all the options to help your business navigate the online world, BezosDigital.com for more. All right, Brody, question number 1. Most underappreciated team season from this past year. Most underappreciated. Now, we've had some great team success this year. Obviously, we're not dismaying our football team. 4 and 5 years, ridiculous. However, we talked a lot about them. We talked a lot about women's basketball. But some of the other teams really overperformed their expectations. Not saying we were, setting the bar too low, but maybe just didn't get the media exposure, maybe didn't get all the high fives they deserved this year. What's a team that comes to your mind as far as that? I'm kind of thinking of a couple here.
Yeah, I mean, the first one that came to my mind, and I've got a couple as well, but the first one that I thought of when you hear the word underappreciated is what Tia and volleyball were able to do again, getting back to the Elite Eight.
Yes.
When you talk about when we did that volleyball episode last year, probably almost a year ago now in the summer, it was how do we replace what we lost in terms of the All-Americans, the players, some of the best players in Ferris State history, right? The National Player of the Year. What do we do process-wise to get back to that level? And nobody thought that Tia wasn't going to be able to do it. I mean, everyone was on the side of, if there's someone that can figure it out, it's Tia Branda Wilhelm, and she sure did. But I think we need to just remember how special that achievement is. And like you said, with football, winning a national championship, that's sort of the expectation now. But to get there is very difficult. And Coach Anise talks about this all the time. It's incredibly hard to do that. And Coach Branda Wilhelm bringing that team of young players who most of them had never seen the floor or barely seen the floor to an Elite Eight. When you talk about underappreciated, I think that was the first team that came to mind.
That's a great one. And you look at what they did last year, 35 straight wins before falling in that round of 8 game, that Elite 8 game to Bentley. And you look at where, Olivia Henna-Dolape was there. You had all the seniors, right? Leah Bylot, Kaylee Mott, Claire Nowicki. And then you looked at who's returning, right? You kind of looked at Emma Bleacher, was kind of on an island a little bit as far as returning starting players. But you look at how well Haley Wagner played. Look at how Gabby Piazza went against triple teams every game, still found production. Emily May was swinging his best. And so we just saw so much production from so many players. This felt like more of a team win this year in terms of personnel goes rather than just great talent. Not saying that it's not just great talent, but the one that comes to my mind initially, I looked at especially where this tennis team was last year. And I think reaching that regional final game was not only a huge step, but winning it to get to Arizona for this men's team. I don't think we're talking enough about it. I know Coach Doran, obviously, job well done, right? And you look at all those players, especially, I mean, the Kovacs brothers have been great for us so many years. Madeline Peasley as well on the girls' side, freshman of the year. She does not get enough flowers for what you said, Brody, to me. And it's probably right. One of the best freshman players that we've ever had at Ferris State University, period. And I think that crew really deserves a lot of flowers, looking at how tough the region is year in and year out. You have teams like Northwood, Wayne State, Grand Valley, teams in their own conference that are just right there on the leaderboards, on the regional rankings each and every week. But this team found a way to get over the hump this year. I mean, almost 20 wins as a team. For how great this tennis program is, that's a whole new mark.
I love that call because that piggybacks off what we were talking about earlier with the fact that spring still maintains the same level of success at Ferris State, the athletic department, that the fall sports do, that the winter sports do. And tennis was one of the last things that happened. The men's match against Washburn was one of the last things that happened in Ferris State Athletics this year. So huge accomplishment. You could just see on the men's side when they won the regional here in Big Rapids, all the players, come over and they splash Coach Doran with the Gatorade.
Which you still have some stains from the Gatorade, correct?
Potentially, yeah. I was doing the interview, but no, it was just such an amazing moment because you could see like all the work that's gone in, all the success that we've had over the past couple of years. It was 2 years ago that we hosted the same regional and lost in the first round.
Yes.
And so to get over that hump with players, a couple of players, you think about the Kovacs brothers who have been around for a while. Casper's been around for a while. Those guys who were on that team came back. They win the region, unfortunately fall in the next round. But man, oh man, that was just incredible to see. And that both teams making the NCAA tournament. That's so hard to do. And we had both our tennis teams and both our golf teams make the NCAA regionals. Just incredible work from spring all around.
Absolutely. And the honorable mention, I'm glad you mentioned women's golf, getting back to the national round.
Incredible.
Unbelievable. The fact that they were able to do that. All right, next question. Let's go from the team. Let's go to the athlete, most underappreciated athlete in performance of the season from this past year. Who do you got?
Yeah, just the first name that came to mind, and there's so many, right? I mean, we could literally go team by team.
We could do a whole episode on these questions.
Exactly, 100%. But the first name that came to my mind is Chase Carter. Right?
Oh, yes.
Football goes, they win a national championship, and you kind of forget now that it's been 6 months or whatever, how it happened. Wyatt got hurt at the end of the season. Wyatt Bauer, the star of the offense all year long, got hurt at the end of the season. And it was, okay, who's the next guy in there? Chase. Then Chase gets hurt in the playoffs, and it's like, he's got to just tough it out. Doesn't really have a choice, right? With the way that they use Carson Gulker and more of a combo role, tight end, a little bit of receiver. They like to block him, play fullback. It would have been so disruptive to the offense to move him around back to quarterback instead of keeping him in that gadget role. And Chase just stepped up and he's like, you know what? This is my job. We're going to do it. Not 100%. And he rolled right through the competition. I mean, so underappreciated. And when you look back and you think about all the names on that team that were so good, Tim Allen defensively, Tim Anderson on the offensive line, you got Jarv up front, you got Wyatt who had an unbelievable season. Chase just kind of gets lost in the mix because you hear of all these names, all American players, J-Pay and the incredible season that he had, but Chase really stepped up and helped that team win a national championship. So underappreciated, absolutely.
Absolutely. And we've kind of given my pick some flowers, and this is obviously a personal one, as I was at one point her teammate years ago, and I could see the potential that Whitney Farrell had from the start, and it was unbelievable. But just to see her get to the national championship race was unbelievable. I mean, second team All-American. For the work that she's done in steeplechase, really, starting out, what do I do? I know I'm an athlete, but how does this work? Because I stepped in those shoes, right? As somebody that's now in the program record books myself, and just seeing what she's been able to do in that same event has been unbelievable. And the fact is, you won't see a better representative of a Bulldog. You won't see a better representative of a career and progression, just continuously getting better at every event, regardless of if it was outdoor and steeple, indoor in the 5,000, or even the 15 to the mile, right? Outdoor, indoor, and even cross country. I mean, she was really the workhorse that helped this team, and I think she deserves some flowers as well. I mean, we could also talk as well, probably seems very appreciated, but I mean, the fact that what we saw this year from Caden Blanchard, as far as resiliency goes with this group, I mean, we saw last year without her, it was a pivotal piece, right? It was a pivotal piece. Playing with a broken elbow at one point down the stretch, still getting the program record in scoring. I mean, give all the flowers to KB too.
Super cool. And also shout out to Maya Hyra, Mia Riley for both reaching 1,000 points in their careers. Women's basketball had an unbelievable season. just brutal the way that it ended for him. But still, it doesn't take away from what that senior group and specifically those three were able to accomplish. I do want to give a shout out as well to the back line of the soccer team.
Oh,
Bella
yes.
Valoni and Ella Wolf. I think they were very underappreciated through their entire careers. 4-year starters. I believe they played in every single game that they could. Maybe
much.
a missed game or two combined between the two of them in 4 seasons. They were members of the Final Four team a couple years ago. So definitely underappreciated in their careers and super steady presences on that back line.
Yeah, you talk about consistent play, leaders. Those are two that certainly come to mind. Those are great picks, Brody. All right, let's go to the next question here. Let's go to most impressive breakout performance. We kind of talked about this on the summer show, and as we do kind of traditionally every year. We kind of broke down every sport in of itself in a different episode. We're kind of going in a different route this year. We're going to try it out, but let's keep that part of it. Let's go with most breakout player that we it could be somebody that you predicted or somebody that you just saw, emerge once the season started, and it can be from any sport.
Yeah, I think the easy answer here is Jose Perez for men's tennis. I mean, good player. You knew the potential, had some solid stuff on his resume, but holy cow, what he did this season was just so impressive. The jump that athletes are able to take is always just mind-boggling because you think the amount of work that goes into that progression, I can't even fathom. You can because you were a college athlete, but I can't. I was not a college athlete.
To a degree.
But seeing the way that he handled the season and then being injured in the postseason, fighting through it and still winning. I mean, his win over Northwood, we had sets that were already done through the third. He was at the end of set 2 down. I think it was 5-2. He comes back and wins it at 7. I think he had a huge breakout performance and big shout out to what he was able to do for that squad.
Absolutely. I mean, getting the recognition postseason, but the fact is not a lot of people, unless you really followed tennis religiously, knew he was battling injury. I mean, you could kind of see it the way that he was playing. Yeah. I mean, it was tough to watch, but that's just the tough kid that he is, tough as nails for sure. I'm going to stay in the spring category. I'm going to go to softball just because Tatum and I were fortunate enough to get the backstory. I mean, how about Ava Gardner? Not even recruited at one point during the year, was going to potentially go to another school. That fell through. Coach Schumann comes in, picks her up, and becomes basically, I mean, you could interchange her and Alexis and Emma, right? 1, 2, 3, 1A, 1B, 1C as far as, the best hitters on the team in power terms, right? Slugging, OPSs. I mean, one of the best players, an all-region player, as a true freshman. You do not see that in college softball, period, at any level. That's just how good she was. And I think, going through some of those stats really have just been super impressive. I mean, you look at some of the OPS numbers. I mean, slugging, she was at 660 like a majority of the year, which is ridiculous, by the way. And you look at especially the batting average, the consistency of getting on base. I mean, she finished at a 362 clip, an average, right? An OBP, right? On base percentage at 415. I mean, those are just like senior captain. I'm batting cleanup. I've been here before. I'm going to do it again. This was her first time seeing collegiate pitching and did that. Super impressive.
Have you ever seen someone more consistently hit the ball harder than her? Even when she got out, it was electric.
Yes. Yeah.
Line drives, D-fly ball. She just has a knack for putting that thing on a rope. Really impressive to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And even Emma Harriman's as well, we can argue in the same category. Maybe isn't the person that would get every extra base hit, but she got on base better than anybody in the GLIAC in terms of walks, right? Sacrifices, finding a way to get on base, beating out infield singles, and that certainly is impressive. So those come to mind especially, and I mean, I think we're going to be really seeing potential, looking at some future breakouts as well. I mean, I look at the basketball core, we've seen those spurts from players like Charlotte Miller as well, which is very exciting to watch, and get, especially with Kenzie too. And so I think those are some names as well, and I think there's some great names as well. I mean, football, we could certainly spend a lot of time on because there's just so many of them. Because they all want to come play here, which is a good problem to have, but certainly some future ones as well that we could look at.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want to talk about, again, going through each team and picking someone that could break out and should break out. It's not always easy to do because you don't know the ins and the outs of, okay, who fits what the coach is looking for next year. We get a pretty good sense of that just being around the athletes and around the coaches a lot, but you still, it's always difficult to know because you think from the outside looking in, you say, okay, well, this player should have a clear path to more playing time. The talent is there, but it doesn't always just work that way. Right. But going back and looking at who broke out, I like that a lot because we get to give people their flowers that maybe didn't get enough of them during the regular season.
Absolutely. And let's look now. Favorite moment from this past year. And Brody, I know we shared one that might be in your top 5, probably.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the most fun win that I've been a part of during my time broadcasting for Ferris Hockey. And when we beat Western Michigan down there, I just electric. You want to talk about an environment of stunned people.
Yeah.
Number 1 in the country, opening night, championship celebration, banner raising night for the Broncos, a place that teams don't just go and win down at Lawson in the zoo. It just doesn't have, NCHC teams don't do that in the conference. It's
Who
very
end up
difficult
winning
to do.
national champion?
Denver, the national champion, doesn't do that very often. It's hard to do. And we came down there and took it to them pretty good. I mean, we had a great third period, of course, but overall, just what an electric game. There's so much energy in that building from the student section. Even their fans from the community are just unreal, and we silenced them. That was a lot of fun. You know, the Minnesota State win in the playoffs was also really cool, and win another national championship, of course. But that game against Western was probably the most fun game I've been a part of.
Yeah, I mean, certainly one of the best. And I mean, you just look at where, you know, the season ended up going. It didn't go our way, but people are still talking about it to this day. I mean, that's just how pivotal of a moment it was. I would probably take a cop-out answer. Yeah, you can boo me all you want. But, I mean, 4 and 5 years, that moment in Texas, it's hard to beat that. It really is. You know, being able to be on the field, being able to see these guys, you know, doing the impossible. Because out of any national championship game, I would say that some of our coaches, even talking to them, I mean, Harding was the, you know, greatest fan base that we had seen on the opposite side as far as packed house. I mean, you know, they're in Arkansas, they're a stone's throw away. It's a day drive for them. Just seeing them, you know, out and about in an army in the stands made it even harder. You look at the injuries, Brody, you mentioned the quarterback position, but all over the place, just having to navigate through those. I mean, just to see all of that come to fruition in that game and in that moment. I mean, the experience certainly made it happen, but just knowing that we had to strike first, right? We were the Cobra. We were staring it down. We had to strike first, and being able to do that against that football team, I mean, and that's an all-time moment that anybody that ever gets to a national championship and sees, they'll never forget it, period.
That's one of the things that I find so cool is when we do the ring ceremony in the spring, before the spring game, so literally like a month ago,
right? All
of the athletes that you talk to are still saying how it doesn't matter that this is my second, third, or fourth national championship. You know, when you talk to a guy like Tariq Brett for number 4, they still feel the same level of emotion as number 1 because it's that big of an accomplishment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll throw out an honorable mention as well. Seeing the debut of Cheer and Stunt.
Yes.
That was a cool moment.
Yeah.
You know, something that's new for us here at Ferris State. Like, we knew the sport was coming in, but just me personally, like, I know when we had some athletes on the show, just like, hey, how does this work? I mean, this is intriguing. This is fun. This is new for us as Bulldog fans. I mean, that's an accomplishment as well. And I think that's certainly, maybe it's an underappreciated moment, falls in that category too.
It probably should. And unfortunately for me, I didn't get to be there for the event. We were coming back on the bus from Bemidji with hockey, but hearing from you, from Sandy, from Mike, guys, people that were there and working that event, and even Brooke, who was, you know, a hero for all the stuff that she had to do in terms of getting there, setting up, tearing down our operations staff. But just hearing those encounters and what it felt like, the energy there was something I wish that I could have been a part of for sure.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to the last question here, wrapping up. This is a fun question. Most anticipated event summer activity. This could be Ferris related or not Ferris related. What you got?
Well, I'll go not Ferris related first, just because we'll bring it back to the Ferris tie at the end. But every year for the past couple of years, I've got a college friend who we've been going to the Cubs game on the 4th of July. And that's something I look forward to a lot, kind of becoming a little bit of a tradition. So certainly that. But then on the Ferris side, I always love the golf outings. And it's because of the alumni.
Yeah.
So you got the hockey golf outing, the softball golf outing, men's basketball, women's basketball, football, of course. And just seeing people that now that I've been around Ferris Athletics for a couple of years, you got players that I recognize coming back from a few years ago. And so that's always just super fun to be a part of and, get to play some golf, of course, but also being around people that seeing the alums and catching up, getting coaches back into things, and always kind of launches the new year, right? When you get to the golf outing, we're right around the corner. So that's what I look forward to.
Absolutely. I mean, who doesn't love golf? in the summer.
That's right.
Both of us, we're all
in
on
the
board.
winter, probably not, but
Guess what we're doing tomorrow? We're golfing, ladies and gentlemen. No, but probably for me, I definitely am very excited. I have a camping trip lined up on deck, I should say, actually the end of this week. So it's actually pretty much right now as people are listening live over the radio. So I will pretty much be out of town and I will be out of cell service, which is very exciting for yours truly. But for me, I think you get to the first week of August, that really is when you see practices happening. You see everybody coming back. You see the athletes starting to report back to the dorms. You can see a lot of these team sanctioned events happening, and you just start getting excited again. You know, you get the chills. You get to see teams practice. That never gets old, you know. And for those that live in Big Rapids, you know that the population in this town would be abysmal without this university, no matter what you think of it. I mean, it's doubled. At least when there's students here. So when campus comes back, the vibe completely changes. You know, everything gets more upbeat, everything gets more energized. And I think there's really nothing you can do to slow that down unless you're completely anti-energy, which I haven't met too many people that are that way.
certainly not of the Bulldog faithful.
No. We love to just enjoy everything we have. I mean, we've went through pretty much every single event combination. We've had 11 events in 3 days. We love having people out and about around this town. So
November 8 and 9, 2024. We'll never forget it.
never forget that. I'm glad we made t-shirts to commemorate that.
Very nice. I will say too, sorry to cut you off, Brandon, but
Go ahead.
That timeline actually pushed up a little bit this year. I think football is reporting at the end of July versus the first part of August. So
Wonderful.
even a few days sooner than we're used to.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see football. Obviously, everybody's going to be excited to see when this new dormitory opens, the season coming back at Top Tagger, the new proposed indoor facility, which maybe we'll touch on stuff like that later on in the summer. We'll save that for an episode maybe here in the series, but everybody is more excited and everything in the town starts going ×2, ×3. Everything economically boosts up when the students, and for weekends, I mean, I know plenty of businesses that thrive when the Bulldogs are on the field, on the gridiron, on the course, all the above. And so it's a whole community event at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I want to give a big shout out as well to that Bulldog community. You know, you talked about the Harding fans at the national championship game. There were so many Bulldog faithful there. And everyone, if you came out for one game or every game, one team, every team, doesn't matter. If you that were there this year to support any team at any point, thank you for that. Thank you for tuning in on the radio, watching, listening, however you supported. Donations, we appreciate it. The athletes appreciate it. The department appreciates it. And we're looking forward to seeing you again next year.
Absolutely. I mean, look at all the places that we've went. I know, Brody, you could check off every place in Minnesota basically every year.
We need a whole show for that.
Oh, gosh, yeah. We'll add that to the list. But look at McKinney. You look at Palm Beach. You know, you look at Arizona. You look at Sioux Falls. I mean, we see crimson and gold everywhere we go.
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
It's awesome. And you go to those places and it's not just Bulldog fans who know of Ferris State. People know of Ferris State. I think we got to give a huge shout out to President Pink.
Yes.
And what he's done, University Advancement and Marketing, for pushing the message of Ferris State. Of course, winning national championships help, but people out there in the country, they know. They do, and it's cool.
Yes, indeed it is. And it will continue to be cool because people listen, people look at things that like what we're doing with this show right now. In the summer, people are listening to this, and that's why we're doing it at the end of the day. So we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll be back next week, and we're going to have some fun interviews we're planning over the summer, some other great topics. Maybe we'll dive into all these other advancement projects. We'll get to hear from some folks, and we're just going to have a good time, Brody, this summer, and I can't wait.
That's what the summer is all about, and hey, there's no structure. We can do what we want.
We can do what we want.
It's the summer shows.
Whatever we want. So I guess until next time, we'll see you later.